We're going to move right on to 10B, which is adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to negotiate a development agreement with Castle Companies to construct new homes in the 10 lots owned by the city of San Bruno and PG&E in the Crestmoor neighborhood.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm Harry Burrows, and I'm the city's project manager for the Crestmoor Reconstruction Project. The item before you tonight is the recommendation of a home builder for the 10 vacant lots in the Crestmoor neighborhood. The map that's before you shows the current ownership of the vacant lots within the neighborhood. The lots that PG&E owns are shown in green, outlined in green. The lots that the city own are shown in red. The city currently owns 5 lots, 2 of which, the ones that are shaded there with the solid shading, are envisioned for future public purposes, one for a potential expansion of the park and the other for public open space. So the 3 city lots and the 7 PG&E owned lots total the 10 lots that are the subject of this item tonight. On April 9th of 2013, the City Council directed the staff to coordinate with PG&E and package their 7 lots with the 3 city-owned lots and solicit proposals from qualified home builder developers to construct homes on those lots. The issues that were discussed by the City Council at that time included the desire to avoid a fragmented build-out of the remaining lots, to seek a single qualified home builder developer who possessed the financial and operational capacity to guarantee the time of completion and occupancy of the homes, and to avoid some of the potential challenges of selling to individual lots, some of which would include how to select a purchaser if there's multiple parties that want to purchase a single lot. Other issues discussed were potential financial complications when an individual owner doesn't have the financial capability to get a construction loan as well as the purchase of the lot. So those were some of the items that were discussed. Subsequent to that direction, the city entered into an agreement with PG&E, had appraisals performed, and issued a request for proposals in August of 2013. The RFP was sent out to over 50 home builders, contractors, and other interested parties. The RFP specified certain criteria and spelled out the requirements that the successful builder would be subject to. These criteria included developer qualifications and experience in constructing multiple units at once, the financial capacity to purchase all of the lots and finance the simultaneous construction of 10 homes. We looked at operational capability and the structure of the company, as well as their proposed architecture and design. The purchase price was not the sole and primary criteria for selection, but obviously it was an important factor. The design requirements were also specified in the RFP. Of specific note was that the prospective builders were made aware that all of the homes will need to meet the current design guidelines and standards, and that no variances for larger homes or lesser setbacks will be allowed, as was allowed for some of the residents who rebuilt their homes in the neighborhood. So the city received 6 proposals. 4 of the proposals were from what we call merchant home builders, traditional home builders, and 2 proposals were from investor builder groups. Staff ranked the proposals based upon the criteria that I just described, with particular emphasis on the operational and financial capabilities to deliver the 10 constructed homes within the next 12 to 14 months, hopefully concurrent with the completion of the rebuild of the infrastructure in the neighborhood. 2 of the proposals were ranked essentially equally. Those were the Castle Companies and De Novo Homes listed there. All of the proposals were deemed responsive with the exception of D.R. Horton. D.R. Horton, you can see, submitted the highest purchase price. However, they did not submit a proposal, only a letter of interest. So their proposal was, or their response was disqualified. Otherwise, all of the teams submitted very solid proposals. However, the lesser ranked teams, that ranking reflects both the lack of extensive experience of their team, their lesser financial capability, and or lower purchase price. So staff then asked both DeNova and Castle to submit additional information regarding the proposed homes they would construct, including examples of their fit and finish, make sure the interiors were comparing apples to apples, and other assumptions that they put into their proposals. Both companies, after this analysis, were deemed, again, equally capable. Staff gave the nod to Castle based upon this final review and the higher purchase price. Their purchase price is $85,000 per lot, average higher. So staff recommends the selection of Castle companies as the builder of these 10 vacant lots. Very quickly, these aren't meant to illustrate the exact homes that Castle would propose here, but this is some renderings of some homes that they've built in similar locations, just to give us an idea of the quality of their product. And this slide shows some of the interior finishes that they would propose to be consistent with the homes in this neighborhood. So if the council concurs, the next step would be the negotiation of a development agreement, and then the design and approval process, and ultimately construction. It's anticipated that if the selection occurs tonight, that the design process can occur during the spring. We can start construction in the summer, and home sales and occupancy can occur late this year and into the first quarter of 2015. Mr. Steve Garrett, the president of Castle Companies, is here in the audience tonight. Should the council have any questions, and staff is also available to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Any questions of staff or Mr. Garrett with Castle?
Through the chair.
Ken?
Can you explain, so if we accept Castle Companies with the purchase price of $4.15 million, so that's the compensation to the city or to the to the trust or to the foundation, and that's it. And then whatever they build and they sell, goes to them.
Yeah, I guess one clarification. 3 of the lots are owned by the city, so 415,000 times 3 would go to the city. The remaining proceeds would go to PG&E as the owner of the 7 lots.
Okay. And my other question is that when you say that they'll come and the review process through San Bruno Planning Commission and city staff, you say there won't be any variances. It's my understanding that there were a majority of the new homes sought increased FARs. I mean, are you saying that they will not be able to, or will they have to conform to the threshold figures, or will they be able to make the same case that anyone in this community can do based on our ordinance and the design guidelines?
No, we made it very clear in the RFP, and I think Castle understands that it will need to conform to the current residential design guidelines and standards, which would not allow those variances.
Okay, so semantics aside, I mean, variance is one thing, but and maybe the community development director can. We have an FAR threshold of 55%, and projects were approved at 62%. Okay, are we saying that they will have to conform to the 55% on every single lot?
That's correct.
Okay.
Any questions of staff?
Real quick, if it goes forward, I would just hope and encourage that as far as the development and even the selling of the homes be thought of as far as prevailing wage, union, and as far as local. And I'd like to see that be in strong consideration as this project goes forward, if awarded.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was informed there may be some additional residents in the audience who may wish to speak before you make a decision.
Okay. Anyone like to say anything? Just tell us your name and your street,
Barbara
please.
Passion on Claremont Drive.
Pull that right down in front of you. There you go.
That better?
Yes.
Barbara Passion, Claremont Drive. Resident there for 41 years, and we are interested in a lot for our children who have grown up there. We'd like to see, there's many of us interested, and we'd like to see what come up Hart.
My name's Maria Tavar, and I'm at 1631 Claremont Drive. And like Barbara, my husband and I would be interested for our children to buy a lot. Thank you.
already said what I had to. Gerald Guernsey, Concord, but I'm interested in how much PG&E will get paid for these 7 lots.
The answer is $415,000 per lot.
Per lot. So why is PG&E making such a big profit off of us?
It's our understanding that, I'm sorry, through the city council, it's our understanding that PG&E does not intend to receive any net proceeds over the cost that they incurred in purchasing the lots, and that any, at least net revenues would be donated, is what we've been told, to charity or some other purpose that is not profit to PG&E.
Okay, as I said earlier, I'd like to buy one of the lots. I've been trying to buy one for over a year now. I could have had a house built there already.
I'm Chris Cherambaro. I live at 971 Glenview Drive. I have empty lots on both sides of my house. And I also have expressed interest in buying a lot. We'd like to buy a house or build a house for our daughters so that they could live in our neighborhood, live next door to us. They may not like that now, but they will later. So,
so will you.
Yes, especially for me. So we wanted to express our interest in buying a lot as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Castle.
Good evening, Mayor Nguyen, members of the council. I'm Steve Garrett. I'm a partner with the Castle Companies. I'll try to keep my comments brief. I just want to thank the staff for their analysis and the presentation. We were pleased to participate in the process. We thought it was well conducted and that the playing field was level. And we rarely see the opportunity to build new homes in a community along the peninsula. And we're very much looking forward to this opportunity. A large portion, we've been in business for 40 years. It's a family-owned business, and we are, I'd say, more than half of our business now is smaller infill home building, where we're working with neighbors and working with the community, and this fits very well in the types of opportunities and things that we are pursuing nowadays after the real estate crash. And we're very much looking forward to this. And in addition, with some questions with regard to prevailing wage, I believe we may be the only medium-sized home builder in the Bay Area that is still a signatory to the union carpenters contract. I don't know if that's completely true, but I think it is. And we employ union carpenters. They're our employees, and they have been the folks who are our superintendents have been with us for about 20 years, typically. So we're a long-term relationship-oriented kind of a business. And then we also typically try to employ union subcontractors that are local and close to where the home building occurs, for the natural reason that if there are service requirements or if something goes wrong in a house, occasionally it does, it's easier to call a subcontractor that's a few miles away than one that's a long distance away. We do not employ soup to nuts union contractors. In some cases, some of those trades simply are not for home building. There's not unions that are really active for things like building fences and things of that nature, so we don't always employ them. And then another thing with respect to working with local people, we did do our market analysis locally, and we used a local agent, and we would definitely be talking with her about considering to work with us, if we are selected and if we move forward with this opportunity. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Just two things. It is your intent, and obviously Harry mentioned it, that you're going to build all of these at the same time.
Yes, it is. It was made very clear to us by Mr. Burrows and the city manager that it was very high on the priority list for the city of San Bruno to select a builder whose intentions were to start and build all 10 of the homes at the same time. And we're accustomed to doing that. We're doing it right now in Nevada with a 25-unit development. First phase is approximately 12 homes, and we're building all 12 at once. And so we're accustomed to doing that, and it's something that we are willing to do and look forward to doing.
Okay, and you said you had an agent on board for all 10 homes?
We do not. We
Oh,
will
you
be
don't?
interviewing.
Oh, okay.
But we did get some advice from a local agent.
Okay, all right. And just so everybody knows, it was our intent to get these all done at the same time, simply because of the impact on the neighborhood. What we didn't want to do is try to sell 2 or 3, 4, have somebody say, maybe I can't get the financing, we're going to wait another year, and have this neighborhood continually impacted. You're really impacted now with what's happening up there as far as the storm drains and the laterals coming up and the traffic and the streets, and we wanted to minimize that as much as possible. But there's nothing to preclude any of you from, going forward and talking to that particular agent whenever that agent is hired, to get in line, if you would. So it was our intent to do this for the benefit of the entire neighborhood so that you would be less impacted going forward, because we know what you've been through and we have another year to go. So.
And we provided Mr. Burrows and his team financial information and references from money center banks that you've all heard of without naming names. And those references are there, and they financed us in this type of project, in this size project in the past, and they're more than capable and willing to do it here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I ask one last question? Sir, with the
Yes.
economy of scale here, 10 homes all at once, plus you just bought the dirt for over $400,000. And I know, I don't think you can sell these homes for, $1.5, $2 million a piece.
I agree.
So, although you'd
Would
like
mind,
to.
but I agree.
Can you give some sort of percentage as to, the economy of scale, how much you'd be, how much you could save, as opposed to, a family that's building a custom home? What?
Well,
roughly
yeah.
percentage savings?
That is, I'm going to be shooting from the hip, so you'll have to bear with me. But 2 things to consider. First of all, the economies of scale certainly give us the ability to do the hard cost portion of it for less than, say, a homeowner could do it. And the experience level that we bring to the table, just knowing where to buy things and what people want and that sort of thing, as opposed to a consumer that is faced with some daunting tasks and decisions as to everything from colors to cabinets and all finishes and all sorts of things. So we have that advantage. But the disadvantage sometimes with the 10 homes would be for us to finish 10 homes simultaneously and then sell and close them simultaneously. That's a disadvantage, because you realistically aren't going to close 10 homes all in the same 30-day span. So we're going to have some carrying costs there that are a disadvantage. I don't think that's great, especially in the interest rate environment we're in today. To get more specifically to answering your question, Councilman Ibarra, what I am accustomed to seeing is if a homeowner comes to build, a nicely finished home of this size, they could expect to pay maybe $300 to $400 a foot to build that house. In today's environment, with a builder with our economies of scale and our relationships and the different things that we could, for example, architectural costs are lower, structural engineering is lower because we're building a very similar home in the same neighborhood with the same soils conditions. So we have all those advantages in lowering our costs. I would think that we could probably do it for half of that, or maybe a little more than half.
Okay.
So
Thank
hope
you.
that answers your question.
Thank you very much.
Anything else? Action by the council?
Through Chair,
Ken?
if there's nothing else, I'll introduce the resolution for adoption.
Councilmember Iguera.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.